Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
It is another gorgeous weather day in Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. The final game of this homestand, and the Reds trying to make it for the second time in less than a week. A series sweep over the Milwaukee Brewers. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball, and this is a big day in the life of one Michael Lorenzen. 23 years young, out of Anaheim, California. His major league debut here today.
Well, I love the fact that as soon as he heard that he was being called up, the first thing he did was call his mom. And then, of course, on his way up here, when he got into the Reds clubhouse, he says, man, I'm here. Looked around, saw his teammates. He was hoping to make this ball club out of spring training. And quite frankly, he had a good enough spring to really be on this team. But he got a little extra seasoning down in AAA. And we expect to see a lot of butterflies going on with Michael Lorenzen, but still a lot of good stuff coming out of that very powerful right arm.
So the youth, the inexperience for him. That's not the case on the other side for the Brewers starter, Matt Garza.
Matt Garza's been around a long time, and he's been pitching very well against the Reds as he did last year. 2 earned runs in 22 innings pitched. He relies on a fastball around 93 miles an hour and a slider that gets lots and lots of ground balls. He keeps the ball down. Right-handers he's very tough on. Left-handers is a guy that maybe he can get the bat on if they get that bat going.
All right, we're set for baseball. The Reds and the Brewers, Redlegs, looking for the 3-game sweep. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Hi, I'm meteorologist John Gum from the local 12 News Weather Center. If you're going to make your major league debut, this is the kind of weather you want going for you. Beautiful conditions as the Reds go for the sweep. Starting out in the low 60s, will be in the upper 60s today by the final out with a blend of sun and clouds. Gorgeous weather today out at Great American Ballpark. Enjoy the game right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
All right, a beautiful day indeed. Thank you very much. And here we are for the Reds and the Brew Crew on this Wednesday afternoon in the Queen City. Michael Lorenzen set for his major league debut after just 49 minor league appearances. Those are his numbers this year at AAA Louisville. Jim Day had a chance to catch up with Michael Lorenzen when he arrived 2 days ago, and talking about being ready to roll right from the get-go in the big leagues.
When you're a competitor, you want to compete at the highest level as fast as possible, and so I did everything that I could to show them I was ready as soon as possible, and I'm happy that they're giving me the opportunity that they're giving me.
He grew up in Anaheim, California, and now will make his major league debut. His first pitch is in there. Strike one, a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, and this one is underway. And the career of Michael Lorenzen is underway. Gene Segura, the batter, 296 hitter with a home run and 8 runs batted in. There's a swing and a miss, and quickly it's 0-2. He's gone 95, 93, 95 his first 3 pitches, and this is his first big league game.
Well, you got to figure he's got so much adrenaline flowing right now that if he threw a breaking ball, he'd probably have a good chance of overthrowing it and bouncing it in the dirt. So they're trying to stay with the hard stuff, at least the first few pitches of the game. There was a breaking ball. It was in the dirt. You know, the hardest thing right now for Michael Lorenzen is just slow the clock down around him, to breathe normally, and to try to remember to himself that this is just a baseball game, even though it is his first ever major league real baseball game.
Lorenzen officially promoted from AAA Louisville today, even though he was with the club in Cincinnati yesterday. They put him on the 40-man roster for the first time, and that spot vacated when they moved Homer Bailey to the 60-day disabled list. Swung on and fouled out of play. The Reds also today made another roster move. Manny Parra put on the disabled list with a strained neck. Lorenzen last pitched in Columbus for Louisville. That was his first poor outing of the year. In 6 innings, he allowed 5 runs. Did he go? They appeal, and no. So after getting ahead 0-2, the count has run 3-2 on Gene Segura. Payoff pitch, and a bouncing ball to Phillips, and Lorenzen will tire. The first batter he faces in the big league, Segura, on a bouncing ball to Brandon Phillips. The rest of the Brewers starting lineup is presented by Lexus. Under manager Ron Renicky, 4 wins against 17 losses. Logan Schaefer coming up, followed by Ryan Braun, Lind Ramirez, Chris Davis in the middle. Martin Maldonado, Hector Gomez again at second base. Matt Garza, 1 win, 3 losses on the mound. The Reds try to make it a 4-game sweep. You may remember last Thursday in Milwaukee, they lost that final game to the pitcher they beat last night, Kyle Loach. So they took 3 of 4, and now they're going for 3 in a row over the Brewers on the Reds home front. 2-0 on Logan Schaefer. Schaefer getting a lot of playing time the early part of this season, what with the disabled all-star center fielder Carlos Gomez missing at least a couple of weeks. That one fooled him. 2-1 through a 2-0 breaking ball.
Well, you know, sometimes when you start overthrowing your fastball pitches, it's easier to get a breaking ball over.
Fastball missed away. 3-1 on Schaefer.
Schaefer's a guy who may see his playing time begin to diminish dramatically because Carlos Gomez has come out and said that he would like to be activated off the disabled list as soon as Saturday.
Brewers on their way to Chicago over the weekend, and it's 3-2 now on Schaefer. Last year, just his second professional season, Lorenzen made all 24 of his starts at Pensacola. That's in Double-A. His first season at that level was a Southern League All-Star. Straight up in the air, should be out number 2. Hamilton looking for it. Now he tracks it 2 away. The Reds on defense, presented by Floyd. Hamilton flanked by Bird and Bruce. 3/4 of the regular infield is there. A rare off day for Joey Votto. Christopher Negron will start in his place, and Tucker Barnhart hanging the signs for Lorenzen. Well, what a valuable asset Negron is off the Reds bench. I mean, he can play anywhere. I don't think it would be a stretch to, in a pinch, you could put him behind the plate.
You're probably right about that. And what he does for this ball club is he brings a certain amount of energy to the ballpark every day, whether he's playing or not. But when he's in the lineup, he's a guy that's just kind of a little dynamo. Reds have some other opportunities or other options at first base. Brennan Bosch could play first base, certainly, left-handed hitter. But I think he's just trying to get Negron some ABs here, even though he's going against a right-hander at Garza.
1-1 on Ryan Braun, and that fooled him. Boy, that took a nosedive straight down at 87 miles per hour.
This has got to be a huge moment right here for Michael Lorenzen, facing Ryan Braun, both from California. I'm sure he's followed Braun throughout his career.
Well, I'm thinking the same thing. It's one thing. I mean, Michael Lorenzen knows who Gene Segura is. This guy's a big baseball fan. He knows who Logan Schaefer is. But Braun has been one of the big stars in baseball. While Lorenzen was coming through college, that was right around the time that Braun broke into the major leagues. 2-2 pitch. Just missed. Lorenzen thought he had strike 3 with that 94-mile-per-hour fastball.
Well, one of the big differences that you see between AAA and the major leagues is a little bit smaller strike zone up here.
3 straight batters he's gone 3-2 on. And 3 in a row. He will retire. That one stung, but right at Jay Bruce. Well done. His first inning in the big leagues, and it's 1-2-3 from Michael Lorenzen. It's Ohio, brought to you by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. They were serving it up here today. Feeling good. It's Skyline time. Good crowd. Beautiful. Bright sunshine. And welcome back to Great American Ballpark. The Reds starting lineup. Presented by Meyer, Hamilton, Cozart, Frazier, Bruce, Phillips, Bird, with no Votto in the lineup today. Negron, Barnhart, Lorenzen, the latter third. Matt Garza makes his 5th start. Boy, he has really struggled to begin this year. 22 innings, 28 hits, 11 walks. And there's strike 1 to Billy Hamilton.
Yeah, the walks would be something that you're really concerned with if you're a Brewers fan or a part of their front office, because you don't expect that out of Matt Garza, being the veteran that he is. Been around a long time.
Segura gobbles up the ground ball, and Hamilton retired. The Brewers on defense, presented by Ford. Davis, Schaefer, Braun, left, center, right. Again, Gomez for a second straight game gets a nod at second base. And Maldonado has caught each of the first 3 games and catching virtually every game after the broken toe injury while the Reds were in Milwaukee last week. Suffered to Jonathan Lucroy. Cozart at 297 has 4 home runs and another ground ball to Segura and another out.
Well, you're going to see a lot of ground balls if Matt Garza is on his game. He likes to keep the ball down. He throws a fastball that really doesn't have a lot of run on it, but he gets a lot of ground balls from it. He gets a ton of ground balls from his slider, and he likes that pitch an awful lot.
The Reds were so patient in the series opener, taking multiple walks, starting with Jimmy Nelson, who just didn't have it, just had a bad game here on Monday night. Lowe's threw a lot of strikes in the game last night. And here you have Garza, who's been having a hard time finding the strike zone, and he needs 4 pitches to get the first 2 outs. He pumps in a strike to Todd Frazier.
Jimmy Nelson, the pitcher who was so wild the other night, he was so wild that he wasn't really nibbling at the corners. He was just bouncing balls in the dirt, missing way up and out of the zone. It really did not tempt the Reds to swing very much.
Garza signed as a free agent. They paid him a pile of money to join the Brewers last year. He was nothing more than a .500 pitcher, including a stint on the disabled list.
Yeah, the richest contract ever given out by the Brewers to a free agent. They will have him through 2017 and an option for 2018.
Originally a first-round pick by Minnesota. Shortly thereafter, a huge trade with the Twins and the Rays. There's a high fly ball, left center field, and 1-0 Redlegs into the front row for Frazier.
Todd Frazier's swing may not have been perfect the last few days, but he hangs right in there on that, keeps his head down, his shoulder in, and he got under it a long way. And the question was whether it was going to be far enough to get into those stands. And just like the Reds did last night, they used a home run ball to get on the scoreboard.
Frazier's 3rd home run in 17 career plate appearances against Matt Garza. Well, the Reds in a series opener hit 1 home run. They scored 9 runs. They get the home run by Jay Bruce. But then, as Chris mentioned, they really flexed their muscles here last night, clubbing 3. Votto in the first inning, and then Phillips and Bird went back-to-back in a 3-run 4th. Jay has swung the bat much better so far in this series. He came into the series hitless in his prior 14 at-bats with 9 strikeouts. But he homered his first plate appearance in the series opener here on Monday. Was on base 3 other times. Drove in 3. And then last night was on base twice, going 1 for 3 and scored a run. And it should be noted that Bruce has not struck out in this series. Jay Bruce very much in the driver's seat, brought to you by Kia. Look at those numbers against Matt Garza for Jay Bruce. And here all of a sudden, these last two batters, you're seeing patience by the Reds. Not much from Hamilton and Kozak. 4 pitches. But now he's had to throw what will be a 10th to try to get through Frazier and Bruce. And he might need more than that to get out of this inning. Payoff pitch coming to Jay. And he walked him. 12 walks now for Garza in a little more than 22 innings. You know, after Garza was traded to Tampa Bay, that's where his career settled in. 11-game winner, 8-game winner, very good ERAs, won 15 in 2010. Then went to the Cubs. Won 10 games in 2011, was injured in 12, only made 18 starts. Came back in 13, was off to a good start, and they traded him to Texas, where he finished up the year winning 4, losing 5. Then when he signed with Milwaukee, and prior to the start of last year, Garza had a lot of things to say about Jeff Samardzija and how he needs to get out of Chicago because, you know, you're not going to win games there and all that kind of thing. That did not make the Cubs brass very happy.
Well, you know, I think he's always been a guy, has a reputation for talking maybe before he thinks things out. Remember, he got into kind of a verbal war of words with Dusty Baker when he was with the Cubs after a Reds win.
Runner on the go, a little dribbler down to third. Ramirez double clutches, and Brandon beat it out. And going all the way to third alertly is Jay Bruce.
A little hustle right here by Brandon continues this inning on, and maybe you got a little 2-out lightning going on. The double clutch by the third baseman Ramirez enables Brandon to pick up an infield hit. Jay Bruce goes to third base. Hey, just trying to keep the inning alive. You never know. But some of these bats beginning to come alive. Marlon Byrd with a home run last night.
Both of Bird's home runs have come against Milwaukee pitching. Both of them, in fact, against right-hander Kyle Loesch. 8 runs batted in, and Marlon a 171 batter. Back-to-back breaking balls and back-to-back swings and misses for Bird, and Garza had nothing in 2. Bruce at third, Brandon Phillips at first base, Frazier with a solo home run here in the inning, and now Bird looking for a 2-out 2-strike hit to add to this 1-0 first inning Cincinnati lead. Garza okays his sign with Maldonado. 0-2. And that strike 3 called a fastball right down the middle to end the inning. But Frazier plays long ball. The Reds are off and running with a 1-0 lead.
She's been everything to me. She showed me what a work ethic really is, and so it's pretty good to experience that with her. Just blown away, screaming on the phone. That's my typical mom. Just my biggest fan.
I'm Jim Day. That's Michael Lorenzen, his major league debut, talking about calling his mom, who is his pride and joy. And we are with Cheryl Lorenzen, and he was just talking about calling you. And you were a little excited on the other end.
I still am. I'm so very excited, very proud.
As you sit here and I ask moms kind of the same thing, but all those drives you had to take him to practice and get up early and buy him this and do that. And to now see his dream come true as you sit here and watch him on the mound, what comes to your mind as, well, that's welcome to the big leagues, Mom.
What comes to my mind? Just how hard he's worked and how fun it was watching him grow up and get to where he is.
Now, you guys coming from California, you got the call yesterday. And you have not slept. You had to get to Los Angeles, get on a red eye, get to Chicago, get to Cincinnati. It's been a whirlwind 24 hours, has it not?
It has. It has. And I'm on adrenaline.
Now, you're with, sitting next to us, his brother Matthew. Got a couple of best friends back here as well. We have talked so much about the fine young man that Michael Lorenzen is. He is mature beyond his age of 23. I got to congratulate you, Mom. You did a great job.
Well, thank you very much. It wasn't just me. It was his brother and his older brothers. We've been through a lot as a family, but we've had the Lord in our life, and that's really helped the family a lot.
He is very strong in his faith, and he does not doesn't shy away from it. He lets everyone know. Does that come from Mom?
It actually started with this gentleman right here.
Talking about Matthew.
And they brought me along board with them, and it's tremendously changed our life.
I know you went around the ballpark and you were hoping they had Michael Lorenzen jerseys, but unfortunately 24 hours was too quick of a notice, but you're going to be sporting that jersey here at some point.
Oh, yeah. It'll be, when I get home, I'll find one.
Well, we are so glad you made it because he wasn't sure if you were going to make it. And we congratulate you on a terrific job as a mom. Enjoy this today.
Thank you. I will. Thank you very much.
That is Cheryl Lorenzen. Let's go back to you, Tom and Chris.
All righty, Jimbo. Cheryl, thank you. And thank your family for indeed raising such a fine, upstanding young man. Well, he gives up the home run to Adam Lind, and we are tied at 1 here in the top of the second inning. This Lind is off to quite a start. I mean, everything around him is completely crumbling, and crumbling fast. When you're 4-17, you have a lot of guys hurt. Very few other players are hitting well. We know about the struggles of their starting rotation, but Lind has been very, very good in his first year as a Brewer.
Well, they've been looking for a first baseman there for the last few years, and they got Lind from the Blue Jays, where he had a very fine major league career in the American League. A lot of people don't know much about him, but he has hurt the Reds already. And you can see, you know, with Lind and Aramis Ramirez, seemingly something left in the tank over there. Ryan Braun, if he's healthy, if they do get this team healthy, you know, they're going to hit a little bit. The question is whether they're going to be able to pitch enough to be able to get back in this race after such a horrendous start.
Well, these Brewers hitters are certainly making Michael work out there. He went 3-2 on each of the 3 batters in the first inning. And now he's gone 3-2 on Davis with 1 in and 1 out in a 1-1 game here in the second. And now the payoff pitch coming to Davis. We'll do it again.
You know, when you're facing a young man like Michael Lorenzen making his first major league pitching appearance in the big leagues, it becomes somewhat of an easy guessing game. You're either getting fastball or breaking ball at this point, and all the fastballs are about the same speed. So there's not a lot of deception. It all comes down to power for Lorenzen. Power fastball, power breaking ball. Here it is, come and get it. Remember when he was pitching in college, he was a closer at Cal State Fullerton. He reminded a lot of people of Mark Kotsay, who also was a two-way player at Cal State Fullerton, went on to have an all-star major league career. Come in, throw hard for a couple of batters, and then go back out in the outfield the next day.
10th pitch in the at-bat. And that ball is clobbered in a straightaway center field, and it's a pair of home runs in this inning for the Brewers off Lorenzen.
Well, what you're finding out at the big league level, if you're Michael Lorenzen, is that 95 miles an hour is hitting speed at this level. And that's why when you're watching pitchers like Johnny Cueto last night, who can throw at 95, but he lives at 91 and 92, and he throws it at 86, and then he throws the next one at 94, and he's constantly changing speed because these hitters are so good at jumping on a straight fastball, no matter how fast, short of Aroldis' Chapman's fastball, they can turn on it.
All right, so the Reds down 2-1, and Lorenzen a pair of solo home runs here in the second inning. Gets ahead, strike one on Martin Maldonado. For Davis, they've been waiting for him to break out. Guy with a lot of power, and that's his first home run of this season. That was 425 feet. That was a bomb off the bat of Davis. One hopper to the glove side for Frazier, and Maldonado retired. 2 away in the Milwaukee second. Four wins in 21 games. That is a worse start to a season by a National League team. The 1997 Chicago Cubs with an identical 4-17 mark. Strike one to Hector Gomez, and the Brewers are already a whopping 10 games behind the front-running Cardinals, who ended a 2-game losing streak with a win over Philadelphia last night. Cubs have won 4 in a row. They're a game back. And the Pirates, after sweeping Arizona in the desert over the weekend, they have been kicked around by the Cubs at Wrigley Field the last 2 days. They'll play again tonight, as will the Phillies and the Cardinals. Ripped into left field, a base hit on a 1-1 pitch by Gomez. Third hit in this inning. And now it'll be Matt Garza. In the first 2 games of this series, the Brewers only had 2 hits or more in an inning twice. They had 4 runs and 4 hits. You may remember a Baden hop in the 9th inning when the Reds were ahead 9-2. They had 2 hits in the 6th inning that night off Jason Marquis, and actually they did it for a 3rd time when they came up with 2 hits against Johnny Cueto in the 7th. Two on the pitcher, Matt Garza. Reds will jump on the big bird after this one and make a short, quick flight to Atlanta, where the Reds will begin a 4-game series with Mike Leake against Shelby Miller tomorrow night. 2-2 to Garza. DeSclafani v. Trevor Cahill on Friday. Jason Marquis, Eric Stoltz on Saturday. Johnny Cueto on Sunday against Julio Teheran. Garza hanging in there. We will have 3 of the 4 games for you on television over the weekend. Thursday, Friday night games, then Sunday afternoon. There's strike 3 called, and the inning is over. But Lorenzen gives up his first 2 major league runs, a pair of solo home runs, and the Brewers with a 2-1 lead. Have in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet today. Talked a little bit about Christopher Negron, who will lead things off in the Reds' 2nd inning. And he's a T-Mobile game changer. Look where this young man has played since being brought to the big leagues last year. 3rd, 2nd, left, center, right, short, first today for the first time. Pretty impressive. Everywhere on the diamond with the exception of pitcher and catcher.
I think it's a matter of time for those 2 positions for him, to be honest with you. You don't really want to see him on the mound because it normally means the Reds are getting beaten up pretty bad. They don't want to waste any more pitching.
So now Garza handed a 1-run lead. He gave up a home run to Frazier in the first. Walked Bruce, gave up an infield hit to Phillips, but fanned Marlon Byrd to avoid any damage. And Ramirez will throw out Negron to start the second inning. That road trip we were talking about that begins in Atlanta tomorrow night for the Reds. Their first 2 road trips of the season. 3 city road trips. They went 4-6 on the last one. They dropped 2 of 3 in Chicago, got swept by the Cardinals before taking 3 of 4 against these Brewers. And this road trip goes Atlanta for 4. An off day followed by 3 against Pittsburgh. And then a 3-game interleague series weekend against the White Sox in Chicago. That one in the air to left center field. Schaefer will track it, and Tucker Barnhart retired. Well, now Lorenzen. We brought up earlier, this young man was more known as a hitter. As an outfielder at Cal State Fullerton, he saved 19 games his final year. But he hit .335 with 7 home runs and 53 runs batted in.
Well, you know, it took the Reds quite a bit of convincing Michael Lorenzen to stop working on his hitting and become a pitcher full time. I mean, he was very reluctant to do that.
Whole family, they've got the camera, the phones. Look at Mom. She got both of them working. She's ambidextrous.
There'll be no shortage of video at the Lorenzen holiday party this year. You know, you can almost build this matchup of Garza versus Lorenzen as a college rivalry. Lorenzen, Cal State Fullerton. Garza, Cal State Fresno. Of course, Garza is 8 years his senior. I understand, and I haven't been to any of those games, Tom, but I understand there's not a lot of love lost when those 2 teams get together.
You know, both of those schools are in areas where the college is the thing. They're not college towns necessarily. They're big cities, especially Fresno. But it's not like you're competing in the same market as, say, as an SC or UCLA or somebody like that. Some of the schools out west, Arizona State, others in the Pac-12. And you can tell that Lorenzen has a very good eye at the plate.
Garza's trying to get him to chase one of those pitches just off the plate, as most veteran pitchers do. He's going to have to throw a strike here on a 3-2 count.
Payoff pitch coming to Michael Lorenzen. And he shoots it into right field, a base hit. Now that's a hitter right there. Boy, that's a good looking swing and a nice AB. How about that, Mom?
You can see with that swing that he's been in that batter's box before, and that's a very good swing. And congratulations, Michael Lorenzen, on another first here today.
Obama was looking the other way on the crack of the bat. You know, we should also mention, now you're not going to probably see it today, but Lorenzen also stole 12 bases his senior year.
He's got a big lead out there, I'll tell you, for a pitcher.
There's a weak pop up down the left field line, and this will end the inning. And the Reds get a hit, the first in the career of Michael Lorenzen. End of 2. The Brewers lead 2-1. A month inside the division. The first 21 games for the Reds inside the NL Central that'll come officially to an end today. Started off very well against the Pirates. They dominated the Brewers. They've been kicked around badly by both the Cubs and the Cardinals. After really dominating the Cubs like no other foe for the better part of 5.5 years. But plenty of time to worry about that. And of course, they'll get their first look at the Pirates in Pittsburgh on this upcoming road trip. So officially to begin the season, and we've talked about it, the Reds play 25 of their first 29 in the NL Central, but they'll be getting away from that pretty regularly here coming up. Once they play the Pirates next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they will not step back inside their division until June the 11th when they go to Wrigley Field for a 4-game weekend series. And even then, in the entire month of June, there are only 3 divisional games. Those will be against the Pirates. And that goes all the way to the All-Star break. Of course, Major League Baseball a couple of years ago rethinking the way the schedule works and wanting to get to divisional games all over baseball in the final month. The Reds only have 3 games outside their division in September, and that's a 3-game trip to San Francisco. One and 2 on Segura. Up there on a fastball in on his hands, and Phillips, a barehanded pickup, throws out Segura. Well, that's great location on that 94-mile-per-hour fastball.
You can see him really turn that ball over. Michael Lorenzen throws a 2-seam fastball that, even though he throws 94, 95 miles an hour, has a tremendous amount of run. When he keeps his fingers on top, it also has a fair amount of sink. So it's not like he's just cranking up fastballs mid-90s that are straight as a string. They all have a little bit of movement on them.
Logan Schaefer popped up to Hamilton in the first inning.
One of the things Lorenzen will find difficult to do, because he's always been a reliever, especially from his college years on, until he got to the minor leagues with the Reds, is be able to sustain the pace after he sees a batter for a second or third time. That's when you call on other pitches. There's the first time we've seen a changeup from Lorenzen. Because you like to have a few easy at bats. And right now he's looking at pitch number 55 here in the third inning. I like the fact that Tucker Barnhart made him be stubborn with that pitch. You miss it the first time. Come on back and give me a good one right here. It's like getting a mulligan. We all need those.
Two on Logan Schaefer. Starter Sam LeCure is the last Reds pitcher to win in his major league debut. That was on May the 28th, 2010 against Houston. Tony Cingrani, the last Reds pitcher to win in his first major league start. And now that Lorenzen has a base hit in this game. Remember Bobby Livingston? Boy, for a short time he looked like a pretty good pitcher for the Reds, left-handed. He was the last Reds pitcher to record his first win and get his first hit in the same game. Gone swinging is Schaefer. And incidentally, that base hit by Lorenzen in his first major league at bat. He joins Mike Leake, who did the same thing in 2010.
Well, that's a good pitch right there. That changeup, Schaefer saw 3 or 4 of them in that at bat. It seems like that Lorenzen, that is, of saving that for a left-handed hitter. There aren't a lot of left-handers in this Brewer lineup.
Braun lined out to Jay Bell. His first time up, first pitch swinging, down a strike. Lorenzen is the second Reds player this season already to make his major league debut. He joins Raisel Iglesias, who got the start against the Cardinals back on April the 12th, that first Sunday of the season. Of course, that was quite unique for Iglesias because he had never thrown a pitch in a minor league game. He's back down there now, but he made the start on that Sunday in his professional debut. A 2-out single into center field by Braun will keep the inning alive for Adam Lind. Every weeknight we invite you to join MLB's Whip Around on Fox Sports 1. Highlights, instant analysis, live look-ins around the league. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. The major league debut today for Michael Lorenzen. He's in the third inning. He's allowed 2 runs on 4 hits. The first run and the first hit he allowed came against a man who digs in there right now, Adam Lind. He homered leading off the second inning. Lorenzen was the second quote-unquote #1 pick the Reds had in 2013. He was in that competitive lottery round, the 38th pick overall. And if I'm not mistaken, that was when they lost. No, was that when they lost Shin-Soo Choo or no? That they got that extra pick in the first round? No, Choo was here in 13. The Reds have another #1 pick. That was a compensatory pick the following year. Lorenzen strikes out 2 in the inning. Reds come to bat with a heart of the order coming up, down a run. Brewers, presented by IGS. Look at the numbers. They just simply don't lie. In 6 games, 12 home runs. The same number of home runs in 14 games against everybody else. And the Reds averaging double the number of runs per game, double plus, than against the others. And the others are all divisional opponents. The Cubs and the Cardinals in 2 series, and the Pirates in 1 3-game series. 2-1 Milwaukee. We begin the bottom of the 3rd. Cozart, Frazier, and Bruce. And it's ball 1 to Zach Cozart, who bounced out to his counterpart Segura his first time up. Throws out Cozart to begin this bottom of the 3rd, and here comes Frazier, who plugged a home run to left field in the 1st inning. Just got underneath that one. That is a mile high for Davis. And very quickly to begin this inning. 4 pitches for Garza, who has walked 12 batters in 22 innings. 2 away. Jay Bruce drew a walk in the 1st inning, wound up being stranded at 3rd when Garza struck out Marlon Byrd to end the inning. Garza's allowed 4 home runs in 24 innings, along with the 12 walks and 31 base hits, but he has a 1-2-3 third, and he'll go to the dugout with a 2-1 lead.
Day. The Reds, despite today's game, have already won this series, at least 2 out of 3. And the Brewers have now lost their first 7 series of the season. And this hasn't been done in a while. In fact, you've got to go back to 1999. The last team that lost their first 7 series of the season, that would be the Marlins, 64 Mets, 58 Cardinals, and the 44 Chicago Cubs. So they're in a list that you don't want to be on, boys.
And Florida Marlins team in 1999 went 64 and 98. That's when they were in the middle of that transition after having won the whole thing in 97, and they dealt away so many of their outstanding veteran players and started to transition into getting younger. You know, the Luis Castillos of the world, and some of those players that eventually the veterans that were still around for that year, the Kevin Millars, the Mike Lowells, the Derek Lees, they started to trade away those players, and boy, it did not take long for them to reload to come back to win it again in 2003. Going 2 on Aramis Ramirez. Hooked into left field on a 2-strike pitch. And this will be a double for Ramirez to open the 4th inning.
That's a pretty good pitch he hit right there, and a good sequence of pitches leading up to it by Michael Lorenzen. He just tries to go down and away. Look at the location of that. I guess it floated back over the plate a little bit. That looks like a protection swing by Ramirez, but he's able to hook it down the line. What you're noticing now about Michael Lorenzen this time through the lineup, he's throwing, actually he's dropped in a curveball that he just started throwing last year in Double-A, in addition to that slider, and he's using some changeups as he's done to get some good pitches against the left-handers like Schaefer and Adam Lind.
Well, try and pitch around a leadoff double here in the 4th, and that is Lorenzen's 70th pitch of the game. And there's nobody out here in the Milwaukee 4th inning. We saw Tony Cingrani, you may remember, for the first time in seemingly forever on Monday, or Sunday, I beg your pardon, 2 innings out of the bullpen. Perfect innings against Chicago. And he may well be the guy that will be lined up behind Lorenzen here today.
Well, Davis is going to try to hit the ball to the right side, but that is not his strong suit. He likes to bail and wail. And his front foot slides toward the third base bag. He's looking for something that you leave on the inner part of the plate, and he's kind of a lift and separate kind of a guy. I mean, he just does not get cheated at all, although he really would like to see something over here to the right side to move that runner to third base.
Well, Davis lifted and separated his first time up. A long home run off the batter's eye in center field. He did not go around. It's 3 balls and a strike to Chris Davis. Number 7 hole hitter Maldonado waits on deck. 3-1 to Davis with a runner at second and none out. And there's a walk. The first today by Lorenzen.
Well, you're down towards the bottom of the order right here. So if you're thinking along with Lorenzen, this inning should be manageable. Maldonado, the number 7 hitter. You've got the 8 hitter Hector Gomez coming up, and then the pitcher. They're not going to pinch hit for Matt Garza. So you can limit your damage here as long as you don't get caught up in what's happening. They're probably going to let Maldonado hit because of where they are in the order. This might normally call for a sacrifice bunt. And with Lorenzen at 75 pitches, I can't say he's physically worn out, but you don't know how much he slept last night, how excited he is out there. And this is a major league game that means a lot to a ball club, not just the debut of the pitcher coming up from the minor leagues.
quick visit to the mound by Tucker Barnhart. It's 1 ball and 1 strike on Martin Maldonado. A leadoff double by Ramirez. Davis follows with a walk. And now on a ball and a strike on the Milwaukee catcher, who bounced to third his first time up.
You know, that conversation with Tucker Barnhart may have been something more of along the encouraging lines. Come on now, this guy's a ground ball waiting to happen. Keep the ball down. Let's pitch what I say up here, and we'll get you a double play. You're just trying to make the pitcher relax a little bit.
Good movement there, down and away from Maldonado, who comes up empty on the swing. 2-2. Got him swinging on a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, and that's a 4th strikeout of the game for Lorenzen.
That's a pretty good heater right there against a pretty good fastball hitter, and that is our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. Michael Lorenzen dialing it up at 94.
Well, now Gomez. Lorenzen got ahead of him 1 ball and 2 strikes before he hooked one into left field for a single his first time up. And that one lofted into right field. It'll fall in a hit. They will hold the runner at third. So they are loaded for the pitcher, Matt Garza. Six hits, 7 base runners against Lorenzen through 3 1/3 here today in his major league debut. He struck out Garza looking on a 3-2 pitch in the 2nd inning. Reds already trailing 2-1.
Got to remember, Garza spent a lot of time in the American League, and he didn't really bat until he became a Chicago Cub. How many times has he grounded into a double play? Once in his career. That was the first year he played for the Cubs in 2011. So if you're Michael Lorenzen, you're almost hoping he makes contact rather than swings through everything, especially if he's going to swing like that.
Well, he's come back-to-back breaking balls on the pitcher, Garza, who no doubt was up there looking for a fastball on the first pitch of the at-bat to put it in play. And now Lorenzen will try and put him away. On an 0-2 pitch, and here it comes. Got him swinging. Oh, in and out of the middle. Barnhart. He's still alive. Once more an 0-2 pitch, and this time a swing and a miss for strike 3.
Got him on a curveball. So Lorenzen is showing today a fastball to mid-90s. He's throwing one as hard as 97, I believe. A slider, a curveball, and a changeup. So he's got all 4 pitches.
Well, the Reds have action in their bullpen. J.J. Hoover begins to throw. Lorenzen trying to make it a scoreless 4th after a leadoff double. But he has to retire Gene Segura with 2 outs, and there's ball 1. Segura twice has grounded out to Brandon Phillips. Two and 0. Ramirez at third, Davis at second, Gomez on at first with 2 outs. 2-0 pitch to Segura is in there, a strike. Fastball at 93. Big pitch coming up here. Lorenzen needing a strike, not wanting, of course, to fall behind 3-1 and nowhere to put Segura. So 2-1, an important pitch in this at bat. And he's going to get the final out of the inning. Well done, Lorenzen.
Excellent
The
job.
Brewers leave him loaded. We go to the bottom half of the fourth. Mom standing and cheering her son in his big league debut. To you by Meyer. By your local Ford dealer, Ford Go Further. And by Cincinnati Children's. Ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Bright sunshine, beautiful 70-degree day in Cincinnati. Spring is certainly in the air. Expecting very nice warm temperatures moving into the weekend. Reds down 2-1, and Brandon Phillips against Matt Garza to open the 4th inning. Garza has retired the last 4 and 7 of the last 8. Reds put 3 in a row on base against him, including a home run by Frazier in the 1st inning. The only other Red to reach since then, strangely enough, a single by Michael Lorenzen in his first major league at bat. That one will trickle through into left field, and a good start for the Reds here in the 4th inning. Brandon is 2 for 2 today.
Brandon kind of gets out ahead of a slider right here that Garza puts in a pretty good spot. And they faced each other enough. I think that Brandon Phillips knows the sequence that Garza likes to go to when he gets ahead to a right-hander, and that slider is often his first pitch that he'll throw up there.
Here's Marlon Byrd. He struck out, stranding 2, ending the 1st inning. And that ball is driven into right center field. Over to get it is Braun. It looked like Schaefer had the best beat. Here comes a runner, and Brandon, that's good base running right there. Braun running with all his momentum going away from where he had to turn around and throw it. And alertly, Phillips tags up and advances into scoring position.
You know, when the Reds in spring training said that one of our goals this year is to run the bases better, they didn't mean more stolen bases only. What they meant was going from 1st to 3rd, taking advantage of a situation like this. This is essentially as good as a sacrifice bunt for Marlon Byrd, getting that runner into scoring position with heads-up baseball by Brandon Phillips.
All right, now Negron with a tying run out there in scoring position. One away here in the fourth. Strike one. It is interesting, and we touched on it very briefly early on, that Negron got the nod for the first time this year at first base. When you consider the lack of success for right-handed hitters, and you know there's a track record there for Garza. He's been around a long time. Well, of his success against right-handers versus the left-handers.
There's actually quite a coincidence involving Matt Garza and Brendan Bosch that you probably most you don't even know about, probably, Tom. But when Matt Garza threw a no-hitter for the Tampa Bay Rays in 2010 against the Detroit Tigers, he faced 27 hitters that day. But it wasn't a perfect game. There was one hitter that reached base, and it was Brendan Bosch. He got on a walk. He was eventually erased on a ground ball double play, but you know, those kind of ties in right there. Not to say that that's the reason he should be in the lineup, but you know, you bring up a point of, I guess managers sometimes you're in a conundrum.
Sure.
You want to get guys playing time. You're not really sure who and where. Bosch is versatile. Maybe no one is as versatile as Chris Negron. So you got to make a call somehow.
A soft liner, and they double up Phillips. That's the second time it's happened to a Red in the last 24 hours. We go to the fifth. Milwaukee still leads by a run.
Characters, be one of the first 20,000 fans and receive a Star Wars poster and enjoy a post-game fireworks show. It's presented by Orville Redenbacher. For tickets, 513-381-REDS, Kroger locations, or reds.com/tickets. I'm Jim Day, and over the past couple of days, we have learned the unfortunate news of Kirk Gibson, one of the all-time gamers in Major League Baseball. He announced that he is suffering from Parkinson's disease, and he had a quote that he released in pure Gibson fashion: "With the support of my family and friends, I will meet this challenge with the same determination and unwavering intensity that I showed throughout my entire Major League Baseball career." And if anyone has unwavering intensity, that is Kirk Gibson in a nutshell, guys, and we wish him and his family the best.
Indeed we do. It was very sad news to hear that yesterday. Gibson now working as a broadcaster, doing a number of games for the Tigers. He has not worked since opening day. And our thoughts and prayers with all his friends and family. Line drive into center field. Logan Schaefer out number one for Michael Lorenzen, who allowed 2 home runs, solo home runs. Lynn to begin the second inning. 1 out later, a home run to Chris Davis. Pitched out of a bases loaded 1-out jam in the fourth. His pitch count at 91 right now, in his spot due up second in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's not a guarantee he's coming out of the game. Reds had J.J. Hoover up and throwing in the 4th before Lorenzen got out of trouble. But one would figure if he could get through this 5th inning, probably be right around, give or take a handful at 100, and they'd probably take him down for a pinch hitter.
Well, there'll be a number of considerations in this, Tom. Number one is if Homer Bailey's injury is longer than shorter, keeps him out of the lineup for a long time, someone's got to fill in. Right now it's Michael Lorenzen. If you want him to go deeper into the year, and it's going to be the eyeball test is to tell you how many innings he can pitch. You know, shortening his game by an inning here or an inning there, or giving him an extra day's rest when available, can give you a few more innings at the very end of the season. So those are the kind of things that you also consider, not just what he's doing in this ball game. You've got a pretty well rested bullpen.
Well, he's allowed a 3rd home run in this game as Ryan Braun hammers one to right center field, and it's 3-1 Milwaukee. We have not seen Braun pull a ball. I'm not sure if we've seen it one time so far this year, but he still has unbelievable power the other way.
Now the pitch is up, and the pitches that I've seen him hit for home runs, including the one in Milwaukee when he hit it just right of center field a long way, was a fastball up as well. And it reminds me of the old Kevin Mitchell saying that you never try to pull a high pitch. You go with it. And most of the time, those high pitches are fastballs. And Lorenzen will learn from that mistake.
So solo home runs by Lind, Davis, and now Braun. Milwaukee with a 3-1 lead. And Braun certainly will become the Milwaukee Brewers all-time home run leader in the not too distant future. Braun has 3 this year. Strangely enough, all 3 have come against Reds pitching.
Always trying to work in a Kevin Mitchell quote whenever possible.
He knows a lot about hitting.
Better believe it.
Tell you what, the more you watch this Lind, you know, he had a few hits when we were in Milwaukee that were, you know, just sort of dribblers through the infield. But the more and more you watch him, this guy can swing the bat.
And he uses the entire field. I mean, that ball was up. And I think he's a little bit unusual in the fact that I think because he's kind of a shorter guy and very strong, he likes the ball up in the zone rather than a big tall lefty that kind of drops the bat head. Had a home run to right center field, had a home run to left center field in Milwaukee against the Reds. The only time that Lorenzen got him out today was on a very good changeup. Oh, we have a minute.
The Reds pitcher out to visit with Lorenzen. Pardon me, Chris.
I want to congratulate Wink Kramer, who earlier this week had the softball field at St. Henry High School in Erlanger dedicated to her under her name. She's been a Rosie Red for 25 years, where she served as vice president of the Rosie Reds for a while. And she and her husband, of course, Paul Kramer, are celebrating their 50th year promoting amateur baseball. Both involved very deeply with the Kid Glove game. So congratulations, Wink and Paul. Nice going.
Congratulations indeed. What a great honor that is. Barnhart going to throw down there, and Lynn got a slow start, taking perhaps that for granted. Barnhart didn't give up on it.
You don't see too many that come off the back wall right back to the catcher. That must have hit something solid back there, and Tucker wanted to make sure Lind was hustling.
That ball squirted out of Brandon Phillips' glove. This is a big 5th inning now for Lorenzen. Runner at second and 1 out, trying to get through 5 frames with just 3 runs allowed and keep his team within 2. That was his 100th pitch of the game in his major league debut. Ramirez has hit the ball hard twice. A line out to center and a double down the left field line. Now, the difference in Aramis Ramirez a week ago and right now is staggering. This guy is really swinging a bat. They sat him down when we first got to Milwaukee last week. He was going so badly. Bruce on the fly ball for the second out of the inning. But ever since they gave him that day off, Ramirez has hit safely in 7 of his last 8 to the tune of .390. So here's Davis, who's homered and walked. Lind out at second base. 2 are out. Doubled up on the fastballs in. 1 ball and 1 strike to Chris Davis. That's what Chris was talking about earlier, that sort of semi-bail and whale swing for Davis. Boy, did he club that pitch back in the second inning. A long home run, 425 feet.
Well, your body goes where your feet take you. If you watch his left foot, he's bailing down the left field line, even if it's ever so slightly.
Good pitch there. Fastball at 93 under the hands, and the inning is over. So you figure that's it for Lorenzen. 107 pitches in his major league debut. 5 innings, 3 runs. Reds trail by 2. Four players who best represent the history of the Cincinnati Reds or any franchise. You can vote on the other franchises as well. Just go to MLB.com/franchise4. Winners will be revealed during the All-Star game July 14th on Fox. There are the 8 Reds. And as we mentioned, we have not seen an updated result of where they are. The only one we saw initially had Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, Barry Larkin. My Reds need some offense. Lorenzen is standing in the on-deck circle. Of course, The Reds have a total of 4 hits against Matt Garza today, and Lorenzen has 1 of them. 3-1 Milwaukee. 3 solo home runs for the Brewers against Lorenzen. And it's 1-2 on Tucker Barnhart, who flied out to center field his first time up. Tucker 1 of 8. Very, very limited playing time for Barnhart. The way the Reds schedule is worked out, this is one of the few day games after night games the Reds have played in this young season. Or at least since he's been with a big league club.
You know, when you see these games, Tom, these businessman specials are part marketing and also part taking care of your baseball team. But when the Reds are leaving to go on a road trip and have to play the next day, a lot of times they'll play a day game on that getaway day. Sometimes when they stay at home, and other clubs will do the same thing.
That ball is whacked into right center field, and it is a home run for Tucker Barnhart. That's a second career home run for Tucker.
Boy, he just jumped all over to a no-doubter off the bat of Barnhart.
His other major league home run, coincidentally, came against the Milwaukee Brewers off Marco Estrada on May the 1st of last season. So Lorenzen bats in his 3-2 game. He singled to right field, his first big league time up.
Well, to finish that thought about the travel is that sometimes when your team is not traveling, the home team is not traveling, and the visiting team is at the end of a 3-game series, that game will be at night, and the visiting team will have to move on to the next city and get there in the middle of the night. Reds have done that many times. But when your home team is going on the road, normally, if possible, they'll move that game to a day game and let the guys get into the next city at a reasonable hour and kind of keep their sleep habits the same.
Well, that's borderline strike there. That appeared to be up in the strike zone. Lorenzen with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. And he's gone swinging. Now, are you letting Lorenzen bat here because you're going to leave him in the game, or because he got a base hit his first time up?
That's a good question. I would guess that he's probably going to stay in the game because he was a pretty good hitter. But we can tell maybe by looking in the dugout whether he's preparing himself to go back out there.
Because the Reds have everybody available. There's 5 of them down there off their bench. You have Skip Schumacher as a left-handed batter. You have Brennan Bosch. You have, of course, Joey Votto, switch hitter, and Brian Pena, although you more than likely wouldn't use him. Hoover continuing to throw like he's getting ready to come in.
Yeah.
And then you have the right-handed batting Devin Mesoraco. Billy 0 for 2 is grounded to short and popped up to the left fielder Davis. Reds down a run. Ryan Price would love to see Billy Hamilton get on base and try and make something happen. Two-strike pitch. Garza to Hamilton, and a little dribbler that rolls foul. That could have been a very interesting play there. Maldonado had made the decision he was going to pick the ball up and try to throw out Hamilton. If he'd have touched that ball in fair ground, or maybe he was letting it go foul and then pick it up, which then makes it a foul ball, it can actually roll to the foul side and then come trickling back into fair ground.
Yeah, I think he had to wait for Billy Hamilton to essentially outrun the ball right there. He didn't want to be called for catcher's interference. Had they just been a casual contact, it could have been a tangle-untangle situation. Most of the fields are crowned so that when that ball goes foul, it stays foul. A lot of that, of course, is for purposes of rain drainage, water drainage when it rains. But a lot of times you'll see some players come out, first time in a stadium, they'll roll the ball down the lines and see exactly how they roll.
Well, the best punter I've ever seen, and you know, we're only talking about the last 27, 28 years. Brett Butler was the best punter I've ever seen. And he would do that regularly when he would go into to different ballparks. Well, that's just not going to do it. Popped up to the left side of the infield for the second down of the inning. Well, for Red, it's a home run off that Toyota sign out in right center. Mary Hullard from Cincinnati will win that Tundra. And you can register for your chance to win that Tundra. Just stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Garza's had his way with Cozart, like Hamilton, at the top of the Reds' order so far today. Billy 0 for 3. Cozart, a pair of ground outs, one to short, one to third. And that is a foul ball. Boy, that was
boy. Jack Cozart's looking into the dugout and saying, hey, is there a way that we can review that? If the ball goes over the bag, it's a fair ball. Any part of that third base bag is fair, even if it bounces into foul territory on the first bounce after it goes over the bag or nearly over the bag.
You're only allowed to challenge a fair or foul ball in the outfield. You can't challenge one up the line like that.
That's a particularly tough call for an umpire, too, because he's straddling the line down there. So in one part of his mind is thinking, I got to get out of the way of this. On the other hand, you've got to make the call while you're moving. And that's a very difficult thing to do.
Cozart gone swinging to retire the side. But the Reds get a home run by Tucker Barnhart. And at the end of 5, it's a one-run game. The West Coast Interleague Showdown, the Angels and the Giants. And then the Redlegs will be featured in Atlanta at 7 o'clock. Coverage begins 3:30 Eastern on your home for baseball every Saturday. Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Our distinguished production team of producer Josh Hall and director Roy Alfers will be producing that dandy on Saturday night. You and I'll be dialed into that one, Mr. Welsh, at our hotel on Saturday. J.J. Hoover comes on to replace Michael Lorenzen. 5 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs in his major league debut. Say he did not pitch afraid, that's for sure. He walked only 1 batter and struck out 5. Maldonado, this is 7, 8, 9 in the batting order, so Hoover is coming in, theoretically anyway, a real good time. Facing the 160 hitting Maldonado. Gomez has just gone over 200 with a couple of hits today, and then you have the pitcher Garza. Lorenzen is always in search of the right guy to learn more about his craft. And we've talked so much about just his 44 innings as a pitcher during his collegiate time, as a closer, and now as a starter. He is always leaning on, whether it's Pena the catcher, Mesoraco during spring training. I mean, who better to talk to about pitching than the guy he's visiting with right now, Johnny Cueto.
Oh, you're right about that, Tom. But knowing pitchers the way I do, they're probably talking about pitchers hitting. Johnny's come a long way. Michael Lorenzen got to knock his first time up, and that's not a good start for J.J. Hoover.
Leadoff walks and home runs have just killed this Reds bullpen. I mean, you can talk about all the problems, you can break them down individually, but it seems as though more times than not there are so many leadoff walks, and then we know about all the home runs the Reds bullpen has surrendered. Hoover coming into the game and walking the 150 batting Martin Maldonado. So now they'll try and pitch around a leadoff walk. It doesn't add up to a hill of beans, all of us getting frustrated about it. Can you imagine how Brian Price feels about it?
Well, walks are the one thing that you can't manage around because they're just completely beyond your control. Hoover's had his control problems too. He's walked 7 batters now in 7 2/3 innings. That's not what you need when you make the phone call down to the bullpen.
There's a base hit, third of the game by Gomez. So now all of a sudden the Brewers, after the walk, get a single, 2 on, nobody out. Pitcher coming up. Let's follow up on Michael Lorenzen and check in downstairs with Jim Day.
Well, he's mature beyond his years, as we've talked about with Michael Lorenzen, and he knew right away in spring training the guy that he was going to soak up as much info from was that guy right there, Johnny Cueto, and you guys have talked about it. And so much so that he actually went into the video room and studied video of Johnny Cueto, and off of the way that Johnny mechanically throws the ball and in his windup went and made a change to his delivery a la Cueto, and he says it's worked out for him. The two have become pretty good friends as well.
J.J. waiting on Phillips to get over to the bag and then threw a short hop over there. Well, they had a legitimate shot at Maldonado over at third base.
There was nobody at third base. There was nobody at third base because it was a cross connection on the play. Cozart is waiting for a pickoff play right here. Somebody should be running to third base to try to beat Maldonado there. So you either have the pickoff play on or you have the wheel play on. And as it turned out, I wouldn't be surprised if the pitcher missed the play, and he shouldn't have thrown it through the plate in the first place.
It's the stuff you work on morning, noon, and night. Swing and a miss by Gene Segura. A walk, a single, a sacrifice for Garza. Reds just made it a one-run game on the home run by Barnhart in the bottom of the 5th. And now it's 0-1 on Gene Segura. Foul out of play, nothing in 2.
Now, no one warming up in the Reds bullpen. If Hoover loses Segura and you've got the left-handed hitting Schaefer coming up.
And they are not going to bat for Schaefer. The only other outfielder on their bench is Gerardo Parra, and like Schaefer, he is a left-handed hitter. Swinging a foul ball out of play. But Brian Price has said regularly that he's not a big believer in that matchup theory, you know, lefty-lefty, righty-righty, and feels like these guys should be able to come in a clean inning and get through the inning.
Well, they're short one left-hander now with Manny Parra going on the disabled list, so you only have Tony Cingrani down there from the left side. That may be something other part of it, and Hoover comes back to get Segura anyway. Well, I'll tell you one thing about Gene Segura. He's a dangerous hitter, but he sure buys into the Milwaukee Brewers theory of swing at everything. He is very aggressive up there for a leadoff hitter.
Well, he did JJ a favor there. And now 1 out to go. JJ facing Schaefer, who's hitless in 3 at-bats. He lined to center his last time up. Fastball is too high. Ryan Braun next. Reds will have 3, 4, and 5 in their batting order in the bottom of the 6th inning. And right now it's a 1-run Milwaukee lead. Two balls and a strike on Schaefer. The inning started with a walk to Maldonado. He went to second on a single by Gomez. Both runners advanced on the bunt by Garza. JJ came back to fan Segura. And now a 2 on and 2 out in a 1-run ball game. It's a 2-1 count on Logan Schaefer. Good location on that 93-mile-per-hour fastball in on his hands. As always, coming up later on, we'll have our Miller Time moment. Brought to you by Miller Lite. A quick visit to the mound by Tucker Barnhart before this very important 2-2 pitch to Schaefer. Got him swinging. Good recovery by Hoover. 2 men left. Part of the order coming up. Reds are down a run.
With Reds COO Phil Castellini, the All-Star voting kicked off today, and no more paper ballots. If you want to vote in the ballpark, you vote here in the Reds Connect Zone. So this is another exciting day.
All online, so you can vote early, vote often, vote Reds on your email at home, on your smartphones, on your tablets, or right here at Great American Ballpark in the Connect Zone. 35 times for every player, per position, per email address. And, Jim, we brought you this lovely T-shirt so you can help us spread the word.
Vote Reds all the time, Reds.com. And again, early, often, Reds. And again, if you're in the ballpark, the Reds Connect Zone, main concourse down the left field line. Tom and Chris.
And Todd Frazier officially kicking off Major League Baseball's All-Star balloting, this being the first game where it gets underway, and Todd with the first ballot cast.
Nice. Are you allowed to vote for yourself?
Well, why not?
I mean, if you're Todd Frazier, you certainly should be able to.
Well, if you're running for office, you're allowed to vote for yourself, right?
Again and again.
All right. Yeah, some places you're not lying. Todd Frazier homered in the first inning against Garza. The Reds are down a run. Reds winners in each of the first two games of this three-game series. Can they rally to sweep the Brew Crew? And ball's in the air to right center field. This will be an easy play for Braun. One out. We mentioned that Garza came in with 11 walks in 22 innings this year. He walked a batter in the first inning. And I'm not sure he's even reached a 3-ball count very many times since then. And has certainly not walked a batter since walking the man who bats right now in the opening inning, Jay Bruce. Bruce has also bounced out to the second baseman, Gomez. You know, we were talking last night about how you really could whittle it down to maybe one hand. Certainly you wouldn't even use more than two fingers on another hand about the number of true aces there are in Major League Baseball. And I'm not talking about a guy who did it for 1 year, i.e. Corey Kluber last year in Cleveland. I mean, he had a great year last year, but he has not reached a point in his career where you consider him a #1 guy. Straight away center field, and I mean #1 ace. 2 away in the inning. We saw Cueto here last night. 2 of them certainly got together last night out west at Dodger Stadium, and for the second time in 5 days, Madison Bumgarner beats Clayton Kershaw. Well, you put Bumgarner on the hill in a big game. And when you're pitching against Kershaw, I don't care if it's the 15th game of the year. That's a big game. And Bumgarner, he gets it done.
All right, so let me ask you this. If you had your choice at the beginning of the year to put one of those 2 in your rotation, which one is it?
Of those 2?
Yeah.
In my rotation for the regular season, I would definitely take Kershaw. But if you asked me if I was starting the playoffs tomorrow, I had to have Bumgarner or Kershaw, there is no contest who I'm taking. None.
So it's not easy.
Kershaw.
So it's not easy being a GM, is it?
No, it's not. It's definitely not. And maybe Kershaw will come back and prove that, you know, he can pitch in the postseason. He has had a very hard time in the postseason. That's a line drive by Phillips right at the center fielder Schaefer to end the inning. We march on to the 7th. Milwaukee with a 1-run lead.
14th through the 17th, thanks to Reach Family Magazine. For only $48, you can get 4 Reds tickets and 4 Reds hats. Cheer on your Red Legs and save. For tickets, 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/4 for 48. New pitcher on the hill for the Reds, Chris Welsh.
Well, Tony Cingrani comes in, and he's only been in 4 ball games so far. He had thought when he first reported to spring training down in Goodyear, Arizona, that he had a chance to make the rotation. But about halfway through camp, they went to Tony and said, you know, based on a lot of different things, one of which is we need another left-hander in the bullpen and a long man, and you fit the bill perfectly. Why don't you be a reliever? And I think that after he had a chance to think about it a little bit, Tony Cingrani settled in and said, you know, this is really maybe right up my alley right now. Don't have to worry about developing that changeup. I can go in there, come in and throw as hard as I can, use a slider, my best 2 pitches, and go from there. And maybe starting is in his future, but right now he's out of the pen.
2 perfect innings for Tony out of the bullpen against Chicago on Sunday. Thank you very much, Jim Day, by the way, for bringing us back from commercial break. But for those of you that were not with us earlier, the Reds put Manny Parra on the disabled list before the game today with a strained neck. So, you know, Cingrani before today, although infrequently used this entire year, could have been viewed as your quote-unquote long man. Probably not his role for a while with Parra now on the DL. You get late into games, and as we know, doesn't matter what division you play in, and certainly this one especially, with the National League Central and so many outstanding left-handed batters. Cingrani more than likely will be coming in late in games. And he'll take care of the right-handed batting Braun to begin the 7th. Right back at you with Reds Live, the pregame version presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing tomorrow night from Atlanta. That'll get underway at 6:30 Eastern Time tomorrow. Ryan Giesenslaw, Jeff Pecoro, Jim Day, and Chris Welsh, all part of Reds Live. Mike Leake against Shelby Miller. Of course, Miller in his first year with Atlanta went over in that trade from the Cardinals involving Jason Hayward.
You know, Tony Cingrani is a very emotional young man, and we've seen it in the past a couple of times when he came in late in ball games last year, and even the year before when he first came up. You know, really get fired up in certain situations, and he can bring that kind of emotion when you're a reliever. It's very difficult to do that over the length of an entire game. You know, almost a mad Hungarian approach. Remember how Al Rabowski used to psych himself up behind the pitcher's mound?
It was great TV.
Pound his fist into his glove and turn around, and the crowd would cheer. I mean, even if you weren't a Cardinals fan, you had to get fired up just watching it.
First pitch fastball at 93. Pinpoint accuracy on the outside corner. Strike 1 to Ramirez. 1 for 3. Ramirez with a double in the 4th inning. You know, we were talking about Lorenzen, and Chris, you brought up how, you know, maybe you buy an inning here, you buy a couple of innings there, depending on where you are and what, you know, has led up to a game in which he will start, because he will certainly be keeping a close eye on his innings total this year. His second full year as a pitcher. He will get an extra day because of the Reds off day on Monday. So rather than working on 4 days rest, His next start will come on 5 days rest, and that'll be Tuesday night in Pittsburgh. Here's ball 4 to Ramirez.
Well, you know, there's a lot of different philosophies on that. Some are, you know, pitchers are creatures of habit. You want to get them into a routine where they pitch exactly the 5th day every time they possibly can. But on the other hand, you think, well, you know, if we can adjust it from here and there and give a guy an extra day here and there, maybe we can get him a little bit stronger at the end of the year. One thing you normally see, though, is that if you've got a horse on your staff, and that would be Johnny Cueto on this staff, you want to keep him as close to that 5-day schedule as possible so that you get as many starts in over the course of a year as you possibly can.
Which is why, because of the off day on Monday, Brian Price can tinker around again with that rotation. I mean, he could bypass, if he wanted to, Lorenzen entirely and stay with the other 4 current members of that rotation if he so chooses. Throw down to first. And back safely is Ramirez, who's walked for the first time all year long. And Jimenez takes over now as a pinch runner. Luis Jimenez. Swing and a miss. I wonder if something might be wrong with Aramis Ramirez, because you rarely ever see him leave a game, and he is a very good defender down there at third base, and in a 1-run game that could turn out to be a big decision.
Cingrani has thrown to first base enough, he hopes, to keep Jimenez from trying to steal second. So meanwhile, now that he thinks he's got him going back to the bag when he lifts his leg, he can just worry about the hitter.
Gone swinging is Davis, and again that's that fastball. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 7th inning. Bird, Negron, Barnhart coming up, down a run. Well, don't miss a brand new episode of Reds Weekly that comes your way tonight at 6 o'clock. We'll look back on the great weekend celebrating the 25-year reunion of the 1990 wire-to-wire World Championship Reds. Jim Day continues his conversation with Pete Rose, comparing players from Pete's era to now. Jeff Pecoro, Doug Flynn will bring you Reds Weekly tonight at 6 right here on Fox Sports Ohio. All right, bottom of the 7th inning. Milwaukee with a 3-2 lead. Marlon Byrd 0 for 2 in the game to lead it off. Breaking ball is high. Byrd is struck out looking, stranding 2 in the first inning. And that was really the only threat of this game, outside of a solo home run by Barnhart to lead off the 5th. That the Reds have challenged Garza today. That's when they got a 2-out solo home run in the opening inning by Frazier. Bruce walked, went to third on an infield hit by Brandon, but then Byrd struck out. Jimenez stays in the game after running for Aramis Ramirez. 1-1 to Byrd. Now Garza, who has had good success as a major league pitcher, but by and large has been a .500 pitcher in his major league career. When he's pitched this effectively later in the games, there have been times where, a number of times, where the opponent has come back to get him late. See if the Reds can do that today. He's pitched a good ball game again against the Reds, as he did twice last year.
Well, he pitched 22 innings and only gave up 2 runs against the Reds last year. So it was several times that he did that in 3 starts. The Reds really didn't sniff anything from him, and Byrd goes down for his 2nd strikeout of the day. You know, Garza is a lot like Kyle Loesch in as much as he's almost had to reinvent himself a little bit. When he first broke on the scene, he had a very good fastball. I'm talking about 94, 95 miles an hour. Today, he's topped out at 92, but most of his effective pitches are breaking balls, change-ups, just out of the strike zone, making you chase pitches that you wouldn't normally want to chase, but you see them well enough, but they're not hittable. And he's having a pretty good day because of that. Just goes to show you what you can do with command.
Only the 85th pitch of the game for Garza. He's barely worked up a sweat out there. Breaking ball low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Negron is bounced to third. And lined softly into a double play, ending the 4th inning. Reds have everybody available on that bench. We have Barnhart next, and then the pitcher spot if they can get that far against Garza here in the 7th. Two now on Negron.
You know, these middle of the week afternoon games, always great times for groups to come out. A lot of school groups coming out. I want to welcome a group today from the Scioto County Developmental Disability Group. 40 of them came out all the way from down in Portsmouth and Wheelersburg. And of course, I got that heads up from Mr. Wheelersburg himself, Gene Bennett. Longtime scout and operative for the Reds. We wish Gene all the best.
Broken bat roller to Segura. 2 away in the inning. You know, there once was a philosophical thought experiment And the line goes, you've all heard it before, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? I bring that up because of what is taking place in Baltimore today.
Yeah.
Where the Orioles are playing a game and no fans were allowed in because of all the civil unrest in downtown Baltimore to come into the game to watch the game. All the gates are locked. And the Orioles, did they really score 6 runs in the bottom of the first inning against Jeff Samardzija? It is 6-0 Baltimore. They've now moved into the 3rd inning. Joey Votto stands in the on-deck circle. And he's hoping to get a chance to hit against Garza in this 7th inning. But for that to happen, Barnhart has to reach. Tucker homered his last time up.
Yeah, Tucker got a high fastball his last time up, right at the very top of the strike zone, and launched it into the bleachers and right. This at bat, he's getting a lot of breaking balls down.
One ball and 2 strikes on Barnhart. And it's in the dirt. 8 in a row retired by Garza since a home run by Tucker in the 5th inning. Breaking ball sails up and away. Full count to Barnhart. Votto waits on deck. Milwaukee in front 3-2. We're in the last of the 7th inning. Has the left-hander Will Smith getting loose in the bullpen. And the left-handed batting Votto, at least for the time being, standing in the on-deck circle. But Barnhart needs to get on to give Votto a shot. Payoff pitch coming. And Barnhart draws a walk.
That is an excellent at-bat. Fouled off a lot of pitches.
Well, here comes Renicky. Waiting for Votto to be announced. And he is signaled for Smith. So Garza walks a number 8 hitter with 1 out to go to get through 7 strong innings. I don't think Garza's happy about this decision at all. He just hands the ball to his manager and covers up his mouth.
I've seen that before.
All right, our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Smith v. Votto when we come back.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
All right, Reds down a run. With Barnhart at first base, 2 outs, last in the 7th inning. Will Smith already pitching in his 10th game of the year. Joey Votto to pinch hit for Tony Cingrani. Votto in his career 0 for 3 against this Milwaukee left-hander.
You've made a comment many times, Tom, that Votto likes to take first pitch off a lefty. See if he does it right here against Will Smith.
So he does not swing at the first pitch. We've seen him do that a lot lately against left-handers. Another time with Adrian Gonzalez for the National League lead with 7 home runs. Well, that's a nasty breaking ball right there to get ahead 0-2.
Now, Joey Votto, this is the way Joey Votto argues a call. Puts his head down, swipes the dirt with his feet, and probably is talking to the umpire at the same time. Did not like that call on the breaking ball down.
Nothing and 2 to Votto off the Reds bench. Struck him out to end the inning. 1 man left. We go to the 8th. Still Milwaukee in front by a run. Scored in the first inning on a solo home run by Todd Frazier. All the runs today have scored via the long ball. Barnhart brought the Reds within a run with a solo home run leading off the 5th. His first of the year. And in the very first game ever for 23-year-old right-hander Michael Lorenzen, he gave up 3 solo home runs. And that was it. Lind and Davis in the 2nd inning. And then Ryan Braun got him in the 5th.
I was very encouraged by the start of Michael Lorenzen today. Walked only 1 batter in 5 innings. He struck out 5. And I think he'll be a little bit calmer inside next time he takes the mound. Looking forward to watching that young man progress as a major league pitcher.
All 5 runs scored today on solo home runs. That ties the ballpark record. Go back to May the 21st, 2012, when the Braves were in town. And now Jumbo Diaz will follow Lorenzen, Hoover, and Cingrani.
9th game for Jumbo. He was in 36 games last year, had a very fine season in his inaugural year, even though he was 30 years old.
Good hard slider on the first pitch in the at bat. Looking dead red was Maldonado. Strike one. Reds have a top of the order in the bottom of the 8th inning, and without being able to see down there, you can pretty much mark it down. Jonathan Broxton is getting loose in the pen, and he is. Milwaukee using Broxton just like the Reds did when they had their closer healthy. That one dumped into right field, a base hit by Maldonado. Boy, the bottom of the order has given the Reds fits in this game today. Maldonado a walk and a single. The number 8 hitter Gomez has 3 hits. So 5 times out of what, 7 plate appearances, the numbers 7 and 8 batters have reached base.
Now, Gomez has laid 3 hits out there, but he hasn't exactly tattooed the baseball. He just happened to find some holes. Jumbo throws a nice sinking fastball. Good opportunity here to turn 2.
Well, you have a pinch hitter for the time being anyway. It's Gerardo Parra standing in the on-deck circle. So Gomez showing bunt should be no surprise. Jumbo going to throw to second, lost his footing, and the throw is in the dirt and everybody's safe. Jumbo slipped as he went to throw that ball to Kozoi, and the throw came up short.
Well, what happens there is that you already made your mind up where you're going to throw the ball. You've got everybody, including the catcher, yelling at you, second base, so you field it. But as you're fielding it, you slip, and at that point, it's hard to turn and change your mind as to where you're going to throw. You should do that, but very difficult to throw that ball on the money as you're falling down. So a tough break for the Reds.
So now Parra to come up and pinch hit, and one would assume they're going to ask him to bunt. That'll be a sacrifice and a fielder's choice, allowing all hands reaching safely. And this will be a bunt hit.
Boy, the Reds could not have played the bunt defense today any worse than they have. That's a ball right there that really the third baseman has to come into play, unless you know for certain that the pitcher, if you've got the number 1 play on, which is the pitcher comes over to the line, but that third baseman has to be certain that the pitcher is agile enough to come over there, get that ball, or else he comes in and fields it and throws it to first base. Boy, of all the times you practice that in spring training, here you are still in the month of April and it backfires on you twice.
So they are loaded with none out. Segura the batter. A single to Maldonado. A bunt that turns into a fielder's choice. Both runners safe. A bunt hit. And now 1-0 to Segura. And Jumbo's fallen behind 2-0.
Boy, when you're 3-0, bases loaded, nobody out, all you can think about is one pitch at a time. Because anything else, you'll just be overwhelmed. Because the odds are against you. So you try to keep it as simple as possible.
3-1 on Segura. A big swing and fouls it back. Diaz last pitched on Friday in that 11-inning game against the Cubs. He worked a perfect inning and has not allowed a run in his last 3 appearances. The 3-2 pitch on Segura. Now remember, J.J. Hoover got a big strike out of Segura with 2 on and a runner at third and 1 out in the 6th inning. Jumbo could use the strikeout of Segura in a big way right here and right now. Payoff pitch. Well, he did him a favor there. That ball almost hit Segura.
Well, a protection swing right there. Segura is not up there to walk. I mean, he buys into this philosophy that Ron Renicky has in this Milwaukee club, which is they're going to slug themselves out of whatever slump they're in. He has walked 2 times in 81 at bats. So he's a leadoff hitter, not a leadoff walker.
Jumbo needs another strike. 3-2 in the air, medium right field. Bruce prepares for the throw, and the runner will stay put. So catcher Maldonado running down there at third.
I think anybody else except the catcher, you're going to try to score him right there. Ed Cedar, the third base coach, you know, he went about halfway down the line. He knows that Jay Bruce has a good arm. He's normally on target with his throws, and you got to make this call as a third base coach before you see where the ball is. As it turned out, the ball was kicked around in the middle of the infield a little bit, but you know, just the fact you've got a little reputation out there is enough to keep that runner at third.
All right, 1 out, bases loaded. Here is Schaefer. Down a strike. Milwaukee with a 1-run lead. We're in the top of the 8th inning. Schaefer is 0 for 4 in the game, has struck out twice. And now Jumbo ahead, 0-2.
Jumbo heating it up now. That last one, 99. Every pitch he's thrown has been 94 or above.
One ball, 2 strikes to Schaefer, and Jumbo delivers. Missed. Good. Oh, it hit him. Thought the pitch was in the dirt. Instead, it hit Schaefer to plate a run, making it 4-2. So now Diaz will zero in on Ryan Braun. You know, you take away really a game like last night, and we frequently take Aroldis Chapman out of the mix when we discuss this Reds bullpen, because he has not given up a single run this season. So you got Cueto, you know, for 8 innings last night. Chapman comes in and it picks up a save. The bullpen, and we're not talking about a bullpen where only Chapman is the only reliever to come into a game. In 19 games this season, the Reds bullpen has been scored on 14 of the 19 games. And really, you take Sangrani out of that mix by and large as well. One and two on Ryan Braun. Well, you try to keep it right here at a 2-run game. I mean, that's the best case scenario for Jumbo. And hope the offense can do something against Broxton and Rodriguez. They had very good success against Rodriguez in Milwaukee last week. One-two pitch coming to Ryan Braun. Slider away.
This is what you like to call the action pitch. 2-2 count. You don't want to go 3-2. Of course, runners aren't going to be going with one out anyway, but you box yourself in when you go full count. With
Don Zimmer's the only guy I've ever seen do that. Start the runners with one out and the bases loaded. Ryan Braun has just hit a grand slam. And this game is blown wide open as Jumbo gives up 5 runs in the inning. Boy, oh boy, and they are headed for the exits.
Puts an exclamation point on this. The Reds were unable to complete a sweep in Milwaukee. Lost that 4th game after they won the first 3, and they were on the verge of keeping this ball game very close here until this long ball into the netting above the Reds bullpen. You know, it didn't have to come down to this, though. And I think when Brian Price evaluates this ball game, I mean, this inning was really all about defensing the bunt. Because had the Reds been able to get a couple of outs, even an out, you know, you wouldn't have to face Ryan Braun in that situation. Braun is going to hit his home runs. You just don't want to give him an opportunity to come up there when he can do the kind of damage that he did here in the 8th inning. And they put a 5 spot on the board.
3-2 becomes 8-2. Ryan Braun has all 4 of his home runs this season against the Reds.
Well, they played the Reds 7 times. Will not play this Milwaukee team again until the 4th of July weekend.
Jimenez batting for the first time since he came on as a pinch runner for Aramis Ramirez in the 8th inning, or came on as a runner in the 7th inning, and now bats here in the 8th inning. Five runs for the Brewers in the 8th. They lead 8-2.
Performance Kings Honda. We're here for the manager before anyone else. I'm Jim Day. Tom and Chris were talking earlier about the civil unrest in Baltimore and how the Orioles are playing in front of no fans today. It is an unusual scene, to say the least. Now, Chris Davis yesterday said, you know, it'd be kind of weird to hit a home run where the only people cheering for it would be the 25 guys in the dugout. What happens? Chris Davis hits a home run outside the stadium. There were fans cheering, but a very unusual scene, playing a Major League Baseball game in an empty stadium. And again, we send our best to Baltimore and the civil unrest going on there. Our thoughts are with everyone in Baltimore.
Jim Day, thank you. Jonathan Broxton, even in an 8-2 game, they got him up and got him hot, so they're going to bring him in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Reds trailing 8-2.
If you played minor league ball in the old days, there was probably a time or maybe a couple of times when you played where the stadium was nearly empty, and it was macabre, really, in a way. But I can't imagine what it was like there in Baltimore today, where there was no one in the stands. I mean, it's one thing to have, maybe 20 or 30 people scattered around the stands because family and friends and so on would show up, no matter how cold or miserable the weather was and how bad the league or the field was. The thing that I wonder about that is that I remember playing a game in Indianapolis as a minor leaguer. It was cold and very quiet, and I could hear Howard Kellman, the radio voice, doing play-by-play while I was pitching. Very unnerving. I'm wondering if the guys who are playing in that ball game today in Baltimore felt the same thing, because if they had the windows open, you probably heard Gary Thorne talking.
This will be an infield hit for Billy Hamilton to begin the Reds' bottom of the 8th inning.
Now, once you leave your feet as an infielder against Billy Hamilton, you might as well just stay right there.
Gerardo Parra remains in the game. Came on for a bunt single as part of that 5-run top of the 8th inning, turning a 1-run Milwaukee lead to 6 runs. But the Reds have 2 cracks at them, and they have the leadoff man aboard here in the bottom of the 8th inning. You never know. You never, ever know. What about that wild game last night? We were talking about the Washington Nationals getting drilled by the Atlanta Braves. You wake up this morning and the Nationals rallied from 8 down to come back and win that game. One away in the inning. Cozart a fly ball to right. Zach 0 for 4 today. Of all the pitchers that have pitched here at Great American Ballpark with a minimum of 50 innings, and obviously all of these guys are going to be relievers because the starters just gobble up too many innings. Jonathan Broxton, the lowest earned run average of all pitchers here. This will be a double play, and that'll be all for the Reds in the 8th. We're on our way to the 9th. Brewers in front 8-2. It's part of Super Saturdays. And on that day, the first 25,000 fans receive a Johnny Bench Stars of the Queen City bobblehead presented by John Morrell. You don't want to miss that. 710. Call 381-REDS for tickets. Carlos Contreras was just brought up to the major leagues when the Reds put Homer Bailey on the disabled list a couple of days ago. And we saw him in 17 games last year.
He was actually called up from AA when he came up last year. That was the Pensacola Blue Wahoos. Made his debut the same day he was called up. That was against the Toronto Blue Jays. Retired the side in 9 pitches. Young man, just 24 years old, from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. It was a couple of years ago that he and Billy Hamilton were teammates in the Futures game. Of course, the Futures game will be one of those attractions that surround the All-Star events that are coming later on this summer to Cincinnati.
That Futures game will be on Sunday July the 12th. The Reds will play their final game before the All-Star break down in Miami.
Now, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people like the home run hitting contest, and of course the All-Star game. But I think the Futures game is just a really cool game to watch. I mean, if you want to look at young talent, that's a place to do it.
Carlos Contreras has the first pitch drilled into right center by Elian Herrera, and what a play made by Billy Hamilton.
Now one Futures teammate taking care of the other here. There is no give behind that padding.
But it does beat that brick wall behind that ivy at Wrigley. And Billy
looks like he jolted himself a little bit there.
Doesn't take much when you're running that fast.
Well, he did it in spring training, and he had to be held out a while because he hurt his shoulder running into a outfield wall.
Straight up in the air off the bat of Maldonado. 2 away. Reds are trying to get back above the 500 mark for the first time since they left town to go to Chicago. No, when they came back, I take that back. When they came back and won the first 3 games against Milwaukee last weekend, they jumped up over the 500 mark and then lost 2 in a row to Chicago, putting them back under, winning 2 here to get right at 500. And unless they can rally from 6 down in the bottom of the 9th inning, they would slip back to 1 game under. Cubs and Pirates will play later tonight, wrapping up that series. Garrett Cole against Kyle Hendricks. Phillies and the Cardinals play game 3 of 4. And there's a swing and a miss. And that'll retire the side. Reds bat last of the 9th, trailing 8-2. local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. Well, our Miller time moment brought to you by Miller Lite, the first strikeout in the career of Michael Lorenzen. He got his counterpart, Matt Garza, to end the second inning. He would fan 5 in 5 innings, allowing 3 runs. And then he also delivered in his first at bat a base hit. Moments to remember, certainly, from Michael Lorenzen. We look forward to seeing him moving forward in his major league career. Right now, he would be on the short end of the decision. When he left, it was 3-2. Now it's 8-2, and Jeremy Jeffress comes on to try and pick up the final 3 outs for the Brewers. Jay Bruce 0 for 2 has walked, grounded to second, and flied out to center. He'll be followed by Brandon Phillips and Marlon Byrd. Jeff Piccolo, Jim Day and company standing by with Reds Alive at the conclusion of this one before they will jump on one of the 2 buses that transport the Reds traveling party out of Great American Ballpark right out onto the tarmac and onto that big United plane on their way to Atlanta.
Now you're staying around tonight. You got a big game.
Yeah, baseball game tonight. Yeah,
it's playing tonight. One of the not-hole games that you got scheduled.
It's a nice short trip down to Atlanta. Good Lord willing, tomorrow. So we'll be up and at 'em, and I will see you in hot Atlanta tomorrow.
Good. Well, good luck this evening.
Thank you. We need it. Off to a good start, but I have a feeling the competition will improve tonight.
Try not to run up the score. Okay?
I believe.
Don't be like that.
That's not ever going to happen. Bruce to center field, and that one will fly out of here. And that is the first extra base hit from the cleanup spot for the Reds this year. How about that? Home run number 5 for Jay Bruce.
Now Jay Bruce in a cleanup spot because Joey Votto is getting a day off, and a 3-1 fastball pretty much down Broadway, and Bruce is right there to get it.
So it's an 8-3 game, nobody out. And here's Brandon Phillips.
Tom, you often say about pitchers or ask a question, can this pitcher throw 3 strikes before he throws 4 balls? And that would apply to the guy on the mound right now, Jeremy Jeffress. He's got a great arm. I mean, he throws mid-90s, sometimes high 90s, but he's walked as many as he has struck out. Walked 5 in 9 innings coming into this game. And the point you make out of that is that if you have a guy that is wild out of the strike zone, he's wild inside the strike zone, as he was on that 3-1 pitch to Jay Bruce. Just above thigh high on the outer part of the plate, middle away. Most left-handers with long arms love it right there. But you don't want to do him any favors by chasing pitches that would normally be balls, because if you really want to get back into this game, it's going to have some help from the other pitching staff. It's going to be hard to hit another 5 solo shots.
3-2 now on Brandon. Brandon, 2 hits, had an infield hit in the first inning, a single to left in the fourth, lined out right to the center fielder, his last at bat in the 6th. It's another ball hard. And right at Ryan Braun.
Not a lot of luck out there for Brandon today.
So now Marlon Byrd, not a lot of luck for him today either. 0 for 3. Struck out looking, stranding 2 in the first inning. Fly to center in the 4th, and then struck out swinging all those at bats against Matt Garza in the 7th. As Chris mentioned, Jeffers rushes it up there now. That one at 96 miles per hour on strike 1. One ball, 2 strikes on Marlon Byrd. Reds down 8-3 with 1 out and none on here in the bottom of the 9th inning. It's off the outside corner. Byrd, another guy who certainly is up there to swing his way out of this season opening slump. He does not have a single walk in 73 at bats. And now 3 balls and 2 strikes on Marlon Byrd.
Well, he's worked the count from 0-2 to full, but he has had a lot of 0-2 counts. In fact, coming into this ball game in 72 plate appearances, 20 0-2 counts.
And for Byrd, that is now 24 strikeouts in those 73 plate appearances. Nate Groen, the start at first base today. He's gone 0 for 3. So again, a reminder, Reds Live coming your way tomorrow night will be at Turner Field. This is the last year, is it not, for Turner Field? Don't they open their new ballpark in 2016? 17. They have 2 years left. They have this year and next year there while they're building that brand new ballpark
up in Cobb
way
County,
north of Atlanta. So Reds Live tomorrow, 6:30, as the Brewers win the finale of this 3-game series. A final count of 8-3. Ryan Braun is our steel power tool performer. A pair of home runs today for Ryan Braun, including the big grand slam of Jumbo Diaz in the 8th inning in a 5-run 9th inning. 8th inning, I beg your pardon, where the Brewers went from a 3-2 lead to an 8-2 lead, and they win it 8-3. Reds Live, the postgame version, coming up next. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.